Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Snuggles and Storytime. My name's Amanda, and I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today, I have a story about a guy that wears a red suit and comes to some people's houses at Christmas. But in this story, the animals that pull Santa's sleigh are sick. That's a big problem, isn't it? Yeah, so our story's going to help us figure out what are they going to do. Big problem. So before we read our story, let's go ahead and say hello. Please put your hands up so you can join me. Are you ready? Here we go. Hello, all my friends, how are you? Hello, all my friends, how are you? With the jiggle, 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 and a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Hello, all my friends, how are you? Today, our story is a great one of my personal favorites. It's called Who'll Pull Santa's Sleigh Tonight? See, all the reindeer are gone. But here's Santa, and he's wondering what they're going to do. Rader is the person who wrote today's story, and she drew all the pictures. Very important. Are you ready for a great story? I think I am too. Let's get started. Christmas was just around the corner. The toys were wrapped, the lists were checked, Santa's sleigh was polished and ready to go. Let's visit the reindeer, Santa said to Mrs. Claus. As they approached the stable, Santa called out, "Hello, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen. Hello, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. Are you ready to fly?" And the answer was a loud, achoo! Uh-oh. Is that a problem? Goodness gracious, exclaimed Mrs. Claus. The reindeer looked miserable. Oh, where are the goods? Said Dancer. Oh, poor dear, said Mrs. Claus. Santa rushed off to tell the elves. The reindeer are sick. Who will pull the sleigh? He asked. We need a backup plan. Santa paced up and down. He scratched his head and looked very serious. Then he had an idea. We'll find stand-ins, he said. Here's a sign. It says, auditions today in woodshop number 2. The auditions were announced, and a very large crowd lined up to try out. The performers were very unusual. So were their acts. But none was right for the job. There was even an elephant with balloons trying to work. Don't think it worked very well, though. Poor Santa. Who will pull the sleigh? He asked. I've got it! He came up with an idea. Santa went to his workshop. He thought and he sketched. He thought some more, and then he had an idea. Here's my new plan, said Santa. There were a few grumbles and groans, but the Santa and the elves went straight to work. They worked hard and they worked fast, and at last they were finished. We did it! Shouted Santa. Now let's go show Mrs. Claus. It was the biggest idea Santa had ever had. Santa prepared for a test flight. So it's a giant balloon shaped like a reindeer. Do you think it's going to work? Let's see. The balloon went up, up, up. Hooray! Cried all the elves. Uh-oh. Pop. The balloon came down, down, down. "Oh," said the elves. The balloon was deflated, and so was Santa. "I'm all out of ideas," he sighed. "I'll bring you a cup of hot cocoa," said Mrs. Claus. Santa sipped the cocoa. "Ah," he said, "this always makes me feel good as new." Santa and Mrs. Claus looked at each other. "I have an idea," said Santa. "Do you think—" "Yes, I do," she finished. Santa and Mrs. Claus took a big pot of cocoa to the reindeer. "I hope this works," said Santa. The reindeer stopped sniffling. They stopped sneezing. They looked much better. They were ready to fly. "Hot cocoa saved the day," Mrs. Claus said. "Oh, now they're all happy. I feel terrific. I'm all better. I feel good as new. Best cocoa I've ever had. I like the candy cane. I've got my bells on. Come on, let's fly." Everyone cheered as they flew out of sight. Hot cocoa for all, and to all a good night. The end. So the reindeer were sick, and what made them feel better? Mrs. Claus's cocoa. Who would have guessed? How fun. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time. Bye-bye.